Coming up on today's edition of Titans Today, I believe that Ran Carthon, the Titans GM, and the organization may have pulled off some highway robbery with one of their draft picks. We'll break that down on today's show, but if you are excited about the future of Tennessee between the GM Ran Carthon, head coach Brian Callahan, plenty of other young core pieces, then show it by liking today's video. I think every single person should feel pretty excited. The vibes are high, so like today's video for me. In particular, with what I saw in week 2 of the NFL preseason, I am very excited about Jaylen Harrell, the 7th round, one of the last picks in the 2024 NFL draft, the edge rusher out of Michigan. I believe Tennessee might have found a gem and a steal in the Michigan product. A guy that I did like, higher than the rest of the NFL apparently did. Now, Harrell didn't do a ton in week 1 of the preseason, just the 2 tackles, didn't really make much impact there. But then in week 2, with his feet underneath him a little bit better, a bit more acclimated to how life's going to be in the NFL, he was dominant. On just 18 snaps, a handful of pass rush snaps. He had 2 tackles, 2 sacks, both of course going for TFLs, a forced fumble, 3 pressures. He was incredible with what we saw out of Jaylen Harrell. Now, combining these games, which I think is maybe a better overall picture. Got a guy with a couple tackles, a couple TFLs, a couple sacks, a forced fumble, and an 18.8% pressure rate. Now, I, of course, acknowledge this is the preseason. And this is, you're not necessarily going against the best edge rushers you're going to face. But all you can do is take on the guys you play in the preseason. Jaylen Harrell was dominant in week 2. An 18% pressure rate would obviously drop in real games, is the best in the NFL. Like that is an unbelievable metric. That's up there with and above guys like Micah Parsons, Myles Garrett, the Bosa's. Like it is a TJ Watt. It's a special pressure rate. What I was also very impressed by out of Jaylen Harrell was Tennessee dropped him into coverage, which he wasn't really asked to do much of at Michigan. He had 9 snaps in coverage. He was targeted just the one time. Did not allow a catch on that play, by the way. You're not going to ask him to do a bunch of coverage stuff, but that he is able to do so, I think, does matter in Denard Wilson's defense here in Tennessee. The PFF grades, if you want to look at another data point, which I think is not, don't treat it as gospel or fact, but an asset you can utilize to help evaluate your players, right? 72.3 overall grade is very good. Run defense, only 58.4, but the pass rush was 74.7. The coverage was 64.5. What that tells you is the pass rush was more impactful than the run defense was. That's why it's closer to the overall grade there. Wasn't a liability in coverage. I don't think it was a liability in run defense either. So are you buying some of this Jaylen Harrell hype for a guy that was barely drafted? Are you on board? Y for yes, N for no at the pinned comment of today's video. The ad comes on YouTube. Ignore it. Go vote Y or M. I do want to look here at why exactly Jaylen Harrell fell. Because he was not an early round draft pick. He was barely drafted at all. He was the 252nd pick in the 2024 NFL draft. He was a late 7th rounder. Now, I was higher on him in my pre-draft rankings than clearly the NFL was. I had a 5th round grade on him, number 17th ranked edge, 170th overall. Look, there were concerns with Harrell. There were like, okay, well, this is nice. This is not so nice. I was surprised he fell to round 7 because he was pretty solid last year for Michigan. The, of course, national champion, Michigan Wolverines. 9 TFLs, 6.5 sacks, 31 pressures. I'm actually most impressed overall with him that he's showcasing pass rush ability and coverage ability because I thought he was a better run stopper at Michigan. Now, I think part of that is probably what Michigan was asking him to do. As an athletic profile, I was impressed how well he tested. I didn't think he was going to test as well as he did. Just under 6'4", 250, really great vertical, really great 40-yard dash, solid in everything else. There were things to like about Jaylen Harrell that I thought should have had him going earlier. I think he showcased some of those things as well, by the way, so far in the preseason. And as we'll get into, not only is I think he going from, I saw people not put him on their roster projections when the draft, after the draft happened. Not only are things he going to be on the roster, he might be a key piece for you in terms of rotation. We'll come back to that here in a little bit. But today's show is made possible by GameTime. GameTime has actually launched a new feature. It's called GameTime Picks, and it makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. GameTime Picks filters out the fluff to show you only the incredible deals on great seats. You don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. GameTime wants to make it cheaper and easier for you to go to your next event, whether that's a Titans game, a concert. I am actually very intrigued by the Post Malone Country album. I thought it was actually kind of good, by the way, as an aside. GameTime Picks, again, curation makes it easier to save money on sports, comedy, concerts, theater, and more. All-in pricing shows your total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. And the GameTime guarantee means you will get the best price no matter what. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, GameTime will credit you 110% of the difference. So download the GameTime app, create your account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. But again, create your account, redeem code CHATSPORTS, ChatSports, for $20 off. I believe Tennessee is pretty clearly excited about what they have seen so far out of Jaylen Harrell. And my evidence for that is just what the head coach said. He was asked, like, hey, are you surprised by Jaylen Harrell's success, etc.? He goes, I'm not surprised. He played in a similar style defense and has been coached. Came from a blue blood program. Those guys tend to show up. They play in big games. They played in winning programs. They know what it takes. We've all seen that. He played a physical brand of football in college, and it turns out he plays a physical brand of football here. He's been really, really good in the run. I think he's developing as a rusher. He's shown up. He's got production on the quarterback, but he's learned how to rush the NFL way, which I think he's going to improve rapidly in that way too. But he's risen as a 7th-round pick that nobody thought much of to being probably a pretty strong rotational player for us. It's been good to see. If I were in charge of Tennessee, very clearly, Harold Landry, Arden Key are your top 2 passers. I don't think anyone's going to disagree with that, especially with Key's suspension now no longer a thing. I'm putting Jaylen Harrell over Caleb Murphy. I'm putting him over Rashad Weaver. I think Harrell should probably be your number 3 pass rusher. You know, you don't play guys, really anyone on defense outside of corners and maybe some safeties. Sometimes your linebackers. But like your interior linemen, your edge rushers, they rotate. They don't play 100% of your snaps. You will see Jaylen Harrell out there. Now, sacks are what we care about in football, even though, other stuff matters just as much, if not more so sometimes. But sacks is the easier one to predict than, pressures, So how many sacks does Jaylen Harrell end up having this season? Go ahead and sound off for me in the comments of today's show. The other thing I like what I've seen about Jaylen Harrell as you dig more in deeper into this stuff here is I like his mindset. And I think that the stuff between the ears, which is very tough to identify in a pre-draft process, especially if you're not able to interview these guys, matters a lot. And, in interviews, it's all about saying the right thing. But if you're not saying the right thing, it's a red flag. But I do love this quote from Jaylen Harrell. Life in the NFL, right? Says, quote, I feel like I've always had that prove-it mindset. Coming off a national championship team and get to the league, and nobody cares about that. You have to show you can do it on the biggest stage. I always have belief in myself. I am always a hard worker, a go-get-it type dude. So I feel like that is my mindset. I look at everything like I'm a 7th-round rookie, and I have to go get everything. Ain't nothing I'm gonna get. I have to go earn everything. Feel me? I have to attack each day by day. The only thing missing from Harrell's quote there was putting on the classic Jim Harbaugh line with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind. But I do think Harrell, who was solid in Michigan in 2023, has shown some really good things so far, is taking all the steps you want for to find a rotational edge. If you get a number 3 edge rusher in year 1 who's solid in that role as a late 7th-round pick, that is a steal because the expectations are different. You get that guy in round 1, you feel really disappointed about it. When you spend pick 252 on it, oh boy, that's finding some value. And that's how you build a good roster. You can't miss on every day 3 pick. They're hard to hit. So if you hit on a couple of them, you hit on your 7th-rounders, goes a long way in roster construction. We'll have more Titans coverage for you here all rest of the preseason and regular season long with roster cuts coming in the not-too-distant future. Hit that sub button so you don't miss out. YouTube.com/Titans today.